Are you looking to start your deep inner healing journey using shadow work? But are you maybe not quite sure how do you best get started? What techniques should you be using? What modality of shadow work should you be using to experience that deep inner healing? Now, if you're not quite sure how to best go about shadow work, then in this video, I want to share with you the top 7 practices or techniques of shadow work so you can start your deep inner healing journey. The first technique I want to share with you is journaling. Journaling is a very simple yet effective practice or technique to start shadow work. Because when you're journaling, you can tune in. You can just write down anything that is coming to mind, anything that bothers you. There are also different ways of using journaling. You can use just free writing, where you really just write down anything that comes to mind. You can really connect with your higher consciousness and write from that point of view. Or you can use prompt-based journaling to write down questions and you basically journal about those questions. Whatever way you want to go about it is perfectly fine. And here I have a video for you in the description below, where I talk more about the different ways of using journaling for shadow work. But basically the purpose of using journaling is that, for one, you can connect with those hidden aspects of yourself, those emotions, and you can just write about it without any filters, without holding back, because then you don't have to filter anything. You can just write down anything that comes up. And it's actually quite powerful when you're really connecting to those emotions, the feelings, the experience, and write about it to really uncover, what is really at the deeper root. And here you can actually start out with some prompt-based journaling by using prompts like, what are my biggest fears? What qualities do I dislike about myself? How is a certain situation making me feel? What is triggering me about X, Y, and Z? So you can just journal about that to really uncover, what are you really feeling? What are those shadow aspects? And what are those negative emotions that are attached to it? So journaling is a great way to get started with shadow work. Then the second technique that I want to share with you is gentle contemplation. And what that is you're basically contemplating about these hidden aspects, about what are you feeling. And here it's not so much about really diving into the story of why something happened, why it is the way it is, and things like that, but really just connecting with the shadow aspect. If, for example, you're uncovering that one of your shadow aspects is that you don't feel good enough. And here, then it's not so much about really diving into the story of who made you feel this way and why and what and whatnot, but just really contemplating like, okay, I don't feel good enough. Well, where is this coming from? What else is attached to this? And here you want to do that from an emotionally detached point of view, because if you're too attached to the emotion, you're moving into victimhood, and then you're moving into really dissecting the story. So you want to kind of like take an emotional step back, but then just kind of contemplate about it, like, okay, what can I learn about this? What is this trying to tell me? What is this trying to teach me? Then here you can also tune into the emotion and really allow yourself to feel what you're feeling. Also, not connecting to the story, okay, this is very important, but really connecting to the feeling it with the intention of really giving it time and space to be felt, to be heard, in order to then uncover the gift. Because each shadow, each challenge holds a gift. It holds a message, it holds a lesson, and it holds a gift. And by you contemplating about it in a gentle way, you're then able to uncover the gift beneath the shadow. Beneath this, well, I don't feel good enough. Well, okay, where's this coming from? Where's the first time that you actually felt that way? Why did you feel that way? Who else is involved about this, right? You're really kind of contemplating about in a gentle way, and you uncover a lot about that. You can have a lot of realizations about why you feel that way. Like I said, it's not about connecting to the story though, but really just connecting to, I don't feel good enough, or whatever that shadow aspect is that you're experiencing, in order to then really uncover the gift, because you want to integrate the gift. You want to let go of the discomfort, the shadow of whatever you uncovered, and take the gift with you. By you integrating the gift and then taking different actions. That's how you then also transcend that shadow aspect of I don't feel good enough, I don't feel ready, or whatever it is, whatever that shadow aspect is, because then you're able to transcend that limited aspect of self, that limited shadow aspect of self, into something higher by you integrating the gift. And gentle contemplation is a powerful way to gain some insights into, well, what's really going on, and also uncovering the gift. Then the third technique is using meditation or visualization for shadow work. Now, there are plenty of meditations and visualizations here on YouTube that you can tune into and find the one that really resonates with you. But you on your own, you can meditate as well, just listening to gentle music and really connecting with your shadow, calling up your shadow, connecting with your shadow, having a conversation with your shadow, speaking to your shadow. And here also to find out more about what is at the root of things. Where's this coming from? Where's this feeling coming from? What are you meant to learn from this or about this? And then what's the message? What's the lesson? What's the gift here? Then allowing yourself to really transcending your shadow. And here you can also use a clearing statement of, I now clear whatever shadow that is across all time, space, reality, lifetimes, and dimensions. You can do that during your meditation. As you're really uncovering the gift, as you're uncovering the message behind whatever you're experiencing, then you want to then transcend that shadow by clearing that negative energy and then really taking that gift with you. But meditation, visualization is also a great way to start doing shadow work. Here, like I said, if you're not quite sure how to best go about this, maybe look for some guided meditations here on YouTube or somewhere else on the internet to really guide you through this process. Now here I want to mention also that I have a bunch of light language activations as well. Now they are not necessarily meditations or visualizations, but they are powerful activations, healing activations to help you heal and clear out those shadow aspects. So there's a playlist link in the description below so you can browse through the activations that are already available, and many more are going to come. So definitely be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already, so you can be notified whenever those activations are coming out, because these light language activations can also help you heal and clear and release these shadow aspects, really transcending them into something higher. So this is a great combination with meditation, because it's similar to meditation because you're being guided. These activations, they're guiding you through really healing and clearing whatever is coming up, whatever shadow aspects you're experiencing. So definitely check out the playlist link in the description below. Then the next technique is inner child work. Inner child work is a powerful process and actually also a necessary process in your inner healing journey. And it is really a good combination with shadow work, because our inner child has experienced certain traumas and also has certain unmet needs that cause somewhat of an inner disconnect as well. And also then it really triggers those shadow aspects. So for example, going back to this whole I'm not good enough, that shadow aspect most likely came from something that you experienced during childhood. So by you diving deeper into inner child healing, really uncovering, well, what are those traumas? What are those inner child woundings that you're still experiencing that you haven't really healed from? And here, when I'm talking about trauma and inner child woundings, I'm not just talking about these immense traumatic events. Something as simple as, so let's say your parent came home and you wanted to play with them and they told you, like, hey, give me a moment to take a breather. That in itself, it's very simple and not really a big deal for you as an adult, but that inner child may have had a negative reaction. And I'm using that example because that's actually what happened to me. My dad, whenever he came home, I was like, Daddy, I want to play with you. And he was like, hey, leave me alone for a moment. I just walked into the house. Give me a moment, right? So, of course, me as an adult, I understand that now. But me, the inner child me, the young me, right? I was like, I felt unlovable. I felt like I was a bother. I felt not good enough. I felt all kind of different things because my dad basically rejected me in that moment, right? Now, of course, my dad was very loving and I didn't have a traumatic childhood, but small things like that can affect you negatively, right? So that's why inner child healing, it's not just about the traumatic events. Of course, those you definitely want to work through as well, but also those smaller things, those seemingly insignificant things, they also require some healing. And by you connecting with your inner child, you can also do that by visualizing, by having a conversation with your inner child, by even journaling about your inner child, maybe doing also somewhat of a dialogue kind of conversation, journaling. So there are also different ways of how you can do that. But inner child healing is also a great way to start healing deeply those shadow aspects, because a lot of those shadow aspects came from childhood. You have integrated those shadow aspects because of something that happened during childhood. So inner child healing is a powerful way to start healing your shadow aspects. And here I have another light language activation I want to mention. It's about healing the inner child wounding. So a link of that is in the description below, so you can check that out if you want to heal some of those inner child woundings that you are aware of, that you're not aware of, and that you know that you want to heal and clear. Then another powerful technique is mirror work. That is really helpful in helping you create more self-acceptance and also compassion towards yourself. And the way you go about it is you really stand in front of the mirror. You just look at yourself. You talk to yourself in a very loving and compassionate way. Even look at those aspects of yourself that maybe you don't really like. Maybe you're too skinny. Maybe you have a few extra pounds. Maybe you're going gray. Maybe you have wrinkles. Maybe you're too short. Maybe you're too tall. Whatever it is. Maybe you have complexions. Maybe you're too light. Maybe you're too dark. Whatever it is. You want to look at those aspects of yourself that you don't necessarily like and really talk lovingly about those aspects of yourself. And then also go deeper from within. Talk lovingly about those inner aspects that you don't really like about yourself. Really send love and appreciation towards yourself, towards those aspects. You can even use affirmations, but really looking at yourself in the mirror and then repeating those affirmations in a loving, gentle, compassionate tone. Also acknowledging your shadows, those shadow aspects, but also in a loving and compassionate voice, in a compassionate tone. This is a beautiful practice that can also help yourself really be more gentle with yourself as well. Be more self-loving, self-compassionate. Then the sixth technique is mind mapping. The way this works is it helps you actually just brain dump anything that is basically within your mind. You're just brain dumping everything about your emotions, your thoughts, your experiences, your beliefs, your habits, all of that. You may have different sections about just emotions, then thoughts, then experiences, and you write everything down. And here what you can do is you can go all the way back from as early as you being a baby, and then just write down anything that you can remember, anything that still holds somewhat of a negative charge to it when you're thinking about it. And here you may say, well, I don't remember anything when I was a baby. Believe me, if you do this practice, you will uncover certain things. There are certain things that I remember when I was a baby, when I was laying in the crib. I have certain memories from that. So when you do this practice and just mind mapping all these different things, that can also give you a better understanding of how certain things connect with each other, why certain things repeated in your life, why you had certain experiences in your life, and the reoccurring theme in your life, because you see then the connections. And that will then help you heal a lot of those shadow aspects that you're uncovering by doing mind mapping. It also then actually helps you with the realization of why certain things happened the way they did, why you had certain experiences in your life, why there were these reoccurring themes in your life. It's not meant to then make you feel upset about why certain things happen, but it gives you the awareness. And with awareness, you always have then the power of choice to do something about that. Because sometimes just becoming aware of the reoccurring theme of why things happen over and over and over again, or why you're experiencing certain things, gives you the awareness to then say, I'm done with this. I don't want this no more. Okay, let's move on. Let's do something differently. You can course correct, because if you're not aware of these things that are playing out in the background, well, you can't do anything about it. But using mind mapping, you can map out all these things, and then you can receive that awareness to then course correct, to do something about it, whether it's then doing some deeper healing about certain aspects or just taking different actions, right? You then have that power of choice to do something differently. But you first need awareness, and mind mapping is a powerful process, a powerful technique to just Put it on paper. And here, this is not something that you just do once. You can always add more to it, because what I have found is using mind mapping, it can be quite taxing, because if you're going through basically your entire life, and depending on how old you are, this may take a couple of days, right? I mean, if you're still young, you don't have too much to work through, but if you're a little older, then you have a few extra years you have to go through. But this is something that you can continue working on. And as you're writing stuff down, you can start healing and clearing. Then you write more down, you start healing and clearing. Or you can just write a lot of stuff down and then take some time to just heal and clear, and then do the next round of just uncovering and healing and clearing and transcending and things like that. But mind mapping is a powerful process just to kind of get the awareness of, well, what is all going on deep beneath the surface? What is running in the background? What are the programmings, the shadow aspects, the limited aspects that are running in the background? And then finally, the last technique that I want to mention is there may even be a time where you may need to seek out professional help, especially if you've had a lot of trauma, like really those intense experiences. And even if you didn't, but there's certain things that you're just not really able to really touch or get to, because there's somewhat of a fail-safe within us, like a security measures. Like if we deep down know that if we were to touch this, it's going to be very, very painful. So we're not even going to go anywhere near this. We're not even going to become aware that there's something there. But if you're feeling quite stuck in your life and you've already done healing, shadow work, but you're still feeling quite stuck in your life, you're not really able to move forward, and you feel like that there's somewhat of an invisible barrier there, or an invisible ceiling that you can't break through, then here it might be ideal to get support. Whether it's you're working with a healer, a coach, or even a counselor or a therapist, whatever it is, but they can help you because they're on the outside, right? They're not connected to your emotions, to your pain, to your discomfort or whatnot. So they can help you, they can guide you in a gentle way to uncover, well, what is really going on here. And they can also help you gently heal and clear and release that. Or you can also join maybe somewhat of a support group or a membership or anything like that. And here I just want to invite you also maybe consider joining my membership Transcendence, because it's all about that support. It's all about that deep inner healing, the clearing, the releasing, the transcending, really helping you transcend into a higher way of being. Shadow work is also a big part of this. We're having weekly coaching calls where you can come on and you can ask your questions. You can receive the support. You can receive the healing, the guidance, the mentoring to help you break through whatever it is that you're going through, or just really get the support that you need to really move forward. We're also having monthly workshops where we really dive deeper into a specific topic, also for the self-discovery, for the deep healing, and also the transcending into something higher. So there's a lot included within Transcendence. So here, if you are interested in finding out more about it, check out the link in the description below, and then maybe consider joining. This is going to be a supportive group of like-minded souls that can assist you on your journey. But getting support sometimes is very beneficial, especially if you're feeling stuck. Because when it comes to shadow work, yes, it is a powerful and impactful and very necessary practice on your spiritual awakening journey, on your deep inner healing journey. But it's not always comfortable, especially if you're trying to do this all on your own. You may actually get stuck because certain things you simply are not able to uncover on your own, because there's that inner resistance keeping you from uncovering it, because that part within you knows that if I touch that, it's going to be very uncomfortable, it's going to be very painful, so I'm not even going to go there. I'm not even going to become aware of it, right? So that's why getting support can sometimes really be very, very beneficial. And here, a good starting point might just be a membership like Transcendence. So like I said, if you want to find out more about it, check out the link in the description below. I would be honored if you were to join us on this exciting journey of transcending into a higher way of being. But here you go, you have the 7 techniques of doing shadow work for deep inner healing. I really hope you enjoyed this. If you did, do me a favor, hit the like button, maybe leave me a comment below, let me know. Are you doing any of those practices, or have you tried any of those practices already? I would love to know. But also be sure to check out these 2 videos here. One is about how to use journaling for shadow work, and then the other one is that inner child healing light language activation to help you on that. So thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you again in the next video. Until then, make an amazingly abundant and joyful day. Namaste.